Back again for some more. Lots of progress, and first of all, my 3D printer seems to be working quite well at the moment. I think I've finally dialed it in, having spent some time with it. So first things first is I've printed a new blaster. That is an A180, I think it's called. It's Jyn Erso's blaster from Rogue One. It's in 4 pieces. There's 3 of them. I don't know where piece number 4 is. There it is. So 4 pieces. I mean, it's still attached to its base plate, the raft. That's a sanding nightmare ahead of me. Yeah, I love sanding. But anyway, I've got a blaster I'm really chuffed with. So that's really good progress there. What else has been going on? I think when I last made a video, I was probably sanding down my chest plate. I've been sanding all week. It's been hard work, but I think I'm finished with it because I've put some paint down, and here it is. So here we go. We've got a lot of layers. Hello. Started with a few layers of filler primer. I'll show you, which was this one. Is it Molotov, I think it's called? This is brilliant stuff. I've used all sorts of different filler primers before. I'm going to send a link on the bottom and in the description where I bought my paints from, because they were really well priced, cheaper than Amazon and cheaper than Halfords if you're in the UK, and they were really quick to come, and I was really pleased with what I got. So that was my filler primer, a couple of 3 layers of that, with sanding in between. Gotta sand. And then I've been working with some others. Now, any purist will tell you, you should really stick to the same brand of paints when you paint from whatever throughout your layers. I would tend to agree with that, but I didn't, because I didn't have all the paints I wanted. I've had this for about a year hanging around, this chrome spray. In theory, it's brilliant. In practice, it's a nightmare. It's easy enough to use, but when it dries, if you touch the surface of whatever it is that's dried, it comes off. And it leaves marks, and it's ultimately not very satisfying. So anyway, I had it, I used it. I put a layer of chrome down, and then another layer of chrome down. I'll let that dry. And the next part is a tried and tested method of getting your battle damage to show through. Is I took some toothpaste, yes, toothpaste, and used it as a masking fluid, and just blobbed it wherever I wanted silver to show through. Top tip: if you've got any blemishes and marks in areas that you can't get clear, make them battle damage. So I did. So I put my toothpaste down. Personally, I prefer to use Vaseline, petroleum jelly, instead of toothpaste. I used Vaseline on my first kit, and it was a lot easier to clean off afterwards. What I found with toothpaste is it tends to dry really hard, and there's a lot of rubbing and scraping. But with Vaseline, you can just wipe it clean, or use a heat gun, and it melts and it's gone. Anyway, I use toothpaste. The results are okay. I'm pretty pleased. So while I've got my toothpaste on, I then put down a layer of, I have to remind myself, this Cobra paint. Cobra's brilliant. I love this. This is my new favourite. I used a layer of fairly bright orange. These were really kind of tests to see where I'd end up, bearing in mind that my concept is an Ahsoka Tano crossover, homage, whatever. So orange is going to factor heavily. I put a couple of layers of this down, and it was super bright. I mean, it was definitely joining the traffic cone core. If you're a merc, you know there are traffic cones, which is cool. I let it dry. It was very bright, and then I thought, oh, what can I do that will make this pop? So I added more toothpaste around my battle damage, and then sprayed this darker one, this darker orange, which actually comes out fairly brown. On camera it looks really orange. I sprayed a layer of that across, and then another and another, loads of layers, and I had a bit of a crisis at that stage, and I thought, oh, it's a bit too brown, a bit too flat and muted. So I painted it orange again, and when that dried I thought, whoa, that's really bright. I don't think I can walk around looking that bright. So I painted this again, and I've left it. I'm actually quite pleased with it at this stage. I wiped off all my toothpaste marks. That's just so I could hang it up. I wiped off all my toothpaste, and what it did is it exposed all my previous layers of silver. Unfortunately, as previously mentioned, this stuff's pretty much garbage, and as soon as you put another layer on top of it, it goes dull. So I ended up with flat grey, and that was rubbish. So I went back to my traditional style of adding in afterwards rather than masking and whatnot. All of the silver here is acrylic silver. I'll find my pot. I'm really well organised today for once. I use loads of cheap acrylics. When I did my first kit, I started by using Citadel paints. If you're a Warhammer Games Workshop fan, you know these well. Most builders have got some Citadel paints in their collection. They're just acrylic. They're very expensive small pots of acrylic, and you can get really big pots for half the price, for twice the amount, from places like Amazon. I've got loads of them. Also, I've got these cheap kids paint pot acrylics. They work. My shoulders are the cheapest acrylic you can find. Anyway, I got loads of those. So I used acrylic silver to fill in all my battle damage gaps, and then I got to the stage where I really enjoy my work. Is I started weathering acrylic black, and I'm at the stage now where I've got some muck and dirt and whatnot in there. I also used, if I can find it, now this one is, these two are two that every builder who's doing muck and grunge and weathering needs. You need to have, these are Citadel Warhammer, these two are brilliant. This is a shade called Nuln Oil. Nuln Oil? That's like a black, it is oil, it looks like oil, it's really good. I've got 3 gallons of this stuff, I love it, I could almost drink it. And my other one, which is my personal favourite, is Agrax Earthshade. A little 3D printing stand I made for it. The reason I built that, the reason I printed that, it's one of the first things I printed, is because I spilled an entire pot of Agrax Earthshade over my carpet. My wife doesn't know. So I printed a stand for it, and it won't fall over anymore. So those two, if you are on a budget, I tend to build on a budget, I try and keep things as cheap as possible. If you are going to spend some money, get yourself some Citadel shades. I've got, what's that? Caraberg Crimson. I've got Reekland Flesh shade. I've got a couple more. Anyway, they're great. Also, on top of that, for my shade stuff and all my weathering, I've also got a box full of these Army Painter Quick shades. These come in, I got like a pack of them. They come in various browns, purples. They're cheaper than Citadel, and you tend to get them in a pack. Greens. I don't use them as much, but they're there if I need them. And the other one I've got is a Humbrol enamel wash. It's not acrylic, it's enamel, so it works differently. I use this extensively on kit number 1 to make dirt and muck. I even mixed it with acrylic blacks and I've got all sorts of dirt effects. I don't think I'm going to use it on this one, but that's well worth having in your kit box. Stinks though. Anyway, so I've done all my my scarring. I don't know if I'm finished. Battle damage. Now here and here, if you just see the black bits without any silver, that is where I am covering up thumb marks. I was a bit too eager. This hadn't dried enough, and I picked it up and touched it, thinking it was perfectly dry. It'd been out in the sun all day, and it hadn't cured properly, and I've put thumb marks in. That's kind of like one of my signature moves. It isn't one of my kits until it's got fingerprints on it, so I will be weathering these in. Anyway, this is where I'm getting to. So I've got this flat orange brown, which I quite like, but I've got to try and come up with a concept which matches the grime and muck of my blue parts. So what I'm doing is, again, using acrylics, this time little tubes of painter's acrylic, artist acrylic. These are really affordable. You can get like a pack of a dozen of these in different colours for a few pounds. This one's from Wilko. If you're in the UK, you know Wilko. And they're great because they last forever, and they're great for all sorts. And what I've been doing is I've been taking an old rag, because I've created this dappled effect, which I think is really working with the kit, and it's what I'm going to be doing. So I'll press on. You take a little bit on the rag, dab it on. You don't need too much, and there's a bit I haven't finished. You just stipple it on, and it's as important to take it off as it is to put it on, to try and get even coverage. And I'm fairly satisfied with where I've been going with that, so I shall do a little bit more. And I think, because this isn't really a how to build video, this is just I'm building and look at me go video, I'll probably speed this bit up. Oh, also, you can go over the battle damage, but it'll make it go pinky orange, so you got to factor that in. Maybe go around it rather than over it. Anyway, see you in a minute. Okay, so you can see it's moved on from this flat brown orange, which is fine, to a much brighter dappled orange. I think what I'm going to do is I'm also going to add some darker washes to it. This is going to go a lot darker in here, and all along here, this is where the grime and dirt will be. But I think so far I'm really happy with where I'm going. So I think next video, hopefully the whole thing will be orange, and it'll have some darker shades in it, and I'm also going to look at some highlights to really make it pop. I've also had a bit of an inspiration while I was doing that last piece. If you look at that there, I think I can see where a fulcrum logo is going to be. Anyway, I think that'll do for now. Happy building, builders. See you later.